Right, welcome to Rambling Achieved. Going to be continuing going through my entire Xbox profile. I think we did two parts last time. I took, what did it say? So 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So it has been 3 weeks since I recorded. So there's going to be stuff that's up at the top, which I'll also highlight, which is what I'll keep doing if this obviously takes a little bit longer. But yeah, we'll just continue off. And I think we ended it at Neo Fantasian, the Sakaguchi JRPG. So when we've done all the recent stuff, I'll just quickly get to the bottom of that. But I've been playing the first Berserker Kazan. Really, really damn fun Souls-like. Gonna be I'm looking forward to talking about it further. And really, really impressed with the work coming out of South Korea as of late. They kind of had like a negative stigma tied to them for being kind of they didn't usually match quality as much as Japan or other Western studios, but they've been really killing it as of late. Like the first Berserker, Crimson Desert is also something I've been playing. The Lies of P is absolutely incredible. Stellar Blade is still yet to come to Xbox, so I can't really comment on that personally, but I know that a lot of people hold it in very high regard. But yeah, it's been really damn fun. I've been diving back into Skate, so I only really played a lot of Skate 3, and then I didn't touch Skate 1, and I put in like a very, very small amount of time into Skate 2. So yeah, diving back into Skate. Can't remember if we talked about Halls of Torment. That's like a Diablo-like, Survivors-like. Just playing that on the ROG along with Monster Train 2. Shogunners I beat, kind of a XCOM-like tactics game, except it doesn't have the base building and there's not as much management. It's kind of just focused heavily on the combat and stuff like that. And there's a cool little narrative spin where it's kind of like how would you describe it? It's kind of like a TV show where you're fighting other contestants and stuff like that. And it was a kind of cool, interesting spin. As you can see, it really makes me laugh with Crimson Desert because it shows 1%, and that just basically makes it look like you've done nothing. And I put 3 days and 20 hours into the game. Oh, Crimson Desert. Yeah, I've been playing more of that. Played the Precinct as well. Had that gifted to me, so thank you, Dan Moore, for that. We did a bit of a gift tennis. I gave him Vagarus, the Rudden Realms. He hit back with the Precinct, which was awesome. Played a little bit of Adamfall. Didn't really play about an hour of it, and found that I wasn't particularly in the mood for what it was trying to hit on. But it's in no way a poor game. I'll be going back to that. And then Octopath Traveler 0 I've been chipping away at. So I believe, like I said, it was Neo Fantasian, whatever what do you call it? Whatever the name of the game is. Right. Surely it's here somewhere. There it is. Fantasia Near Dimension. Cool. Right, moving on. I think we talked about Fantasia Near Dimension, but it's the Sakaguchi JRPG. And I believe, I can't remember, I think it's called Dioramas, is where you make it almost in like a tabletop-esque way. And that's how you like pull the environments into the game. And that's what they did for this, and it's really cool. Very unique looking art style. Want to definitely dive further into that. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection. I really, really wish that I could tolerate early, like 2000s and late 90s games like this. I really, because it's like everything I like, it's just I cannot enjoy like a fixed camera angle. I just can't do it with Resident Evil, can't really do it with Metal Gear Solid, and I'm just holding out hope that both eventually get remade, and they're rumored to be. So hopefully that's the case, because I ended up sticking with Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta, which I think I think there's above, I believe. I think I've already talked about it. Um, very much enjoyed it. Very, very much enjoyed it. Um, didn't feel any frustration or annoyance playing it. Whereas with this, it's you got to tolerate it to get through to the end, and it's like I can appreciate the quality, what it did when it released, and its importance for gaming, but I just can't enjoy it personally. Enslaved. So this is Ninja Theory's take on the Chinese story A Journey to the West, I believe, and they've kind of taken creative liberty with it. With Tripitaka, I believe, is the name of the woman who accompanies you, and then you're meant to be the Monkey King as Monkey. Yeah, it didn't really click with me, interestingly. I actually really enjoy a lot of the Chinese like old tales, like Journey to the West. What is it called? It's behind me. Hold on. Outlaws of the Marsh is what I'm actually reading through at the moment. And then obviously you have the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is the other well-known title. But it just didn't click with me. Enslaved. I enjoyed aspects of it, but yeah, kind of sucks that 360 doesn't like time track, because it would have been interesting. I know I did like a few chapters in the game, so I gave it like a decent first shot. Singularity Echo of Ada was something that I had no idea what it was. I think it's meant to be like an extraction shooter kind of thing, but you play as like a mech instead, kind of thing. Didn't play too much of it. How long did I put into it? 22 minutes. So yeah, probably will jump back into that maybe again at some point, but who knows. Earth's Dawn. I don't know what you would consider this. I'm actually gonna go look it up while I talk about it. It's like a 2D side-scrolling. Like, what did they officially call it? What do you classify yourself as, game? The developers don't even know. Doesn't even say. Okay. Well, it's like a 2D side-scrolling RPG kind of thing. A very aggressive art style. It kind of reminds me of what were they called? Scar Studios, I think is what it was called. The people who did Salt and Sanctuary, Dishwasher, Samurai, I believe, and another one that escapes me. It's kind of that. It's a very over the top art style, very pronounced. Didn't play too much of it, but I enjoyed what it was going for. It was kind of interesting because it had a lot of loot mechanics based systems, even though it was just a 2D game. So I will plan on going back to that at some point. Achilles Survivor. So this is the Survivor like spin off game from, I can't remember what it was called, Achilles something, where it was more of a mix between a Souls like and a Diablo like was their first game, and then they've taken a stab at the survival like genre. You're kind of seeing a lot of that with indie games because Deep Rock did it as well, where they do a spin off game in the survivor like genre because it's so easy to pull off, and you don't really need to be like, it's not going to break the bank budget wise. it doesn't need to like move the genre forward, because a lot of the people like myself, I just enjoy the genre for what it is. It's just a nice palette swap when you go, oh, okay, ancient Greece, oh, okay, sci-fi, and stuff like that. So that's all that is. Haven't played much of it recently, but going through and will be 100%ing it at some point. Walson, Lords of Mayhem, really disappointed in this. And this was another Diablo like, very feels like it has its like Warhammer inspiration so heavily laid out on its sleeve, because you can even see in the picture he has like the most over the top pauldrons ever. It looks like he's got like castles on them. It had like really bad performance issues. I got through like the first tutorial section, exited the city, and then it had like a texture issue where, if you know what like the missing texture mod is in like Gary's mod and stuff like that, it was kind of doing that, and it was like, well, this is unplayable. And I don't know if they ever patched it because they stopped support for the game and moved on. I believe they patched in an offline mode, but I don't know if they ever patched a fix for any of them bugs and stuff like that. So we'll have to go back and try that at some point. Helldivers 2, a really cool surprise that they ended up bringing that over to Xbox. I know a lot of people resonated with it. Played a decent amount of time with it with some friends. Yeah, 12 hours, 11 hours, sorry. But I just find it difficult, even with Helldivers 2, which is kind of more to the top tier of that genre of balancing a live service game and giving it narrative and story and stuff like that. If I feel that something doesn't have an ending, or a conclusion, or like a finality, I do eventually just stop caring at some point, because I do like to know that a book has an ending and you close the book on it and you move on. But unfortunately, that's what live services can't obviously do, that, because the whole point is to keep you there as long as possible so they can pump you with your money. But yeah, Helldivers 2 does a good job of keeping its players engaged. I know it has a very dedicated community, and that's awesome. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever be returning. Maybe. We'll see. Wasteland 3 in Exile's really just damn good CRPG. I hope one day that they remake Wasteland 1, because it has not stood the test of time at all. And Wasteland 2 and 3 are just really damn good. In the sense of turn-based combat, I think Wasteland 3 does it the best for me, in the way that it allows there to be really high, fast-paced turns and stuff like that, and the way that they handle the turn order and stuff like that. Because with, like, I love Divinity and Baldur's Gate 3, but them fights, when you get to like the final acts of the game, just drag on for so long, because there's so many enemies and there's so much more complexity to your skill menu. Wasteland 3 just balances that really well. I didn't do the DLCs, so I do plan on going back and experiencing them at some point, but can't talk highly enough of the game. Absolutely love it. All right, King Arthur Legion 9. This is the, I don't know if you'd consider it a spin-off, or if it is just like a sequel almost, but you had a King Arthur game that come out a few years ago from Neocore, and this is also Neocore. Set in Arthurian legend was the first one, same as this, except in this one you're following Roman legionaries. And they've really nailed the pacing with this. That first King Arthur game is great, it's just unbelievably long. You're talking like 30-ish hours for that first King Arthur game, which is that's a lot to ask of people because I'm a big fan of the genre, but like that's gonna push a lot of people off when they get to like the 10-hour mark, and it's kind of like it's a lower budget game. The combat gets kind of samey. A lot of people are just gonna put it down and not finish it. And with Legion 9, they handled that a lot better. They cut out a lot of the fat of the side quests, kind of streamlined it, made sure that the main story could be done within, I think, let's have a look, because I believe it was under the 15-hour mark. Yeah, so 12 hours and 9 minutes. So they definitely compressed it, and then there's more if you want it, because then when you finish the game, you get an end game and you can continue playing. So I think they did a really good job with that. Saints Row: Gat Out of Hell. I have actually finished this game, but I did the Xbox One version. I do like replaying stuff on other types of releases, so I will end up probably replaying it and getting the achievements for this at some point. But really fun little spin-off game. Kind of disappointed that Saints Row went kind of kaput. I don't think if they ever revive the series or try to do it again, it's going to be a very long time from now. It's just kind of disappointing to see a game that was just so full of life and energy and creative and just didn't give a hell about what anyone else was doing in the genre. They just did their own little niche, and then they kind of just petered out. It's kind of unfortunate. Deus Ex Human Revolution. Can't speak highly enough of this. It is my favorite immersive sim. I prefer this over Cyberpunk as my flavor of cyberpunk setting game. Just really wished it sold more, had like staying power, and relevance in the modern day, because like we really miss these titles now, and you can feel it. Jensen's story's not finished. It's kind of the double-edged sword of that when you start unpacking like a really complex and long story and having it unfold over multiple releases, is that if you don't hit milestones and are able to continue doing it, it's very disappointing to the fans that are like invested in that. It's kind of unfortunate, but yeah, really love the game. Really fun. Fallout 3 and New Vegas, the 360 era Fallout games. I lean further towards New Vegas than Fallout 3, but I do respect what Bethesda did, because there's a lot of shit that gets thrown Bethesda's way, and rightfully so for a lot of stuff. I know a lot of people who were original Fallout fans were very disappointed that they got their hands on the IP and then morphed it into this, but there's no denying that, you know, they catapulted it to heights of relevance that the original games never would have achieved. Especially in, when would this have released? 2007, around about then. You know, CRPGs just weren't, from 2007 to 2015. They kind of really struggled as a genre, and they've only just started climbing back into relevance. And even then, they're still niche. You know, even though Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year, you don't see Pathfinder announcing that they obtained like another 2 million copies sold because people are loving the genre so much that they're going out and exploring other games like it. It was just one of them lightning in the bottle moments. And yeah, they did a good job of translating it from its traditional sense into this. I know they did a lot of design choices that people didn't also agree with, but there's a lot of people that resonate with Fallout from this era onward. It'd be cool if we could have like a respectful return to the original games. I can't remember what it's called. There's a mod that's being developed for Fallout 1 that turns it into like a Doom-like setting, which looks absolutely outstanding. Like, if I was Microsoft and I saw that being developed, it'd be like, hell, man. Get that person, throw them a bit of money and just develop that for us. We have the IP rights, have it under, obviously, supervision to make sure that, nothing offensive slips in and all them kind of red tape things, but like that would be amazing to have that like pushed out. But yeah, Fallout New Vegas, I definitely hold higher over Fallout 3. I think it does a better job of mixing in the RPG elements, of balancing speech checks and skill checks, and the writing quality in New Vegas is just superior. In my opinion, I think that's something Bethesda does kind of struggle with a lot themselves. I don't think that they have that as a strong suit, but yeah, kind of cool. Rise Son of Rome, one of the most underrated titles of Xbox One's generation. It was a launch title. I think what really didn't help, because you had Rise and then you had the Order 1886, and they kind of just both were. They're looked upon fondly now, but they were probably things that should have just been given with the console, and people shouldn't have had to go and fork out money for it because they had glaring issues. With Rise, it was heavily baking in the Kinect features. And a lot of people criticized it for just being a cinematic game. And there was a very little substance there, which that's a fair criticism, sure. Doesn't mean it's not fun. And then obviously had the Order 1886 on PlayStation's side, where it was a full, $60 title, £50 title, for like 5.5 hours of gameplay. And it's just, yeah. They probably should have just been bundle games, like Wii Sport, and maybe they would have stuck around a little bit. Because it would have been cool to have, on Microsoft's side, like a melee-based game like this still being made. Would have been cool, because then they could have incorporated elements of this into Hellblade when they acquired them to give it a little bit more meat, which would have been an interesting thing for them to do, but it is what it is. Fallout 4. Even though I've 100% it, I don't love this game. I love the elements of this game. I think I played a lot of it, statistically. No, is it not going to load? It's going to do that freaking out thing where it's going to shoot me back to the top, isn't it? No, it didn't. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, 8 days, 9 hours. Damn high play time. The moment-to-moment gameplay, hugely improved in this game, of course, over 3 in New Vegas. They made it more feel like a shooter, which, again, kind of feels like they experiment a lot with the Fallout IP, and they don't really do that with the Elder Scrolls as much. They kind of play it very safe with the Elder Scrolls. It's going to be very interesting to see what they decide to do with the Elder Scrolls 6, if they're going to be very ambitious or play it safe. But there's a lot less meat with the RPG side of systems. They tried to implement like a similar dialogue tree will thing that Mass Effect does, except Mass Effect pulls it off a lot better, because BioWare, back when they were doing Mass Effect, their writing standard was very damn good. And they also had the benefit of having a Paragon and Renegade system where it's kind of spelled out for you. It's blue will be a nice person's response and red will be a more chaotic response. You don't really get that with Fallout 4, because a lot of the time, I don't know if they ever ended up patching this, but it was kind of just summarizing it like sarcastic kind of thing, where there was no context as to what your character was really saying. Um, Another thing that I don't know if this bugged people as much as it did me. Maybe it's because of my color blindness. The difficulty checks of the speech were color coordinated, so they removed the percentage chance from thing, and that just I think that's I don't like that very much. Um, so yeah, the base game a little bit lackluster, kind of saved face with some of the DLCs. Far Harbor, I think a lot of people hold highly, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they go next, because 76 didn't really land in the way that they wanted it to. Um, Fallout 4 has had people slowly sour to it over time, so we'll see. War Tales, kind of a party management based game, I guess you'd say. You're kind of like you're running your own company, caravan esque. Turn based combat in the same way it's grid based like XCOM. Um, yeah, really, really damn addictive. Played a bit of it in co op. It's so, yeah, 20 hours. Very slow progression wise, but very, very cool. I like the systems that they have at play. Scratches a lot of the itches that I like. Um, it's also just one of them things. When a game is constantly being supported, I will actually usually not play it because I want to wait in the same way that I wait. I'm still waiting for Rogue Trader to finish up its DLCs because I don't want to restart an entire playthrough to experience them. I want to just have that all available in one long stretch playthrough. And that's the same with War Tales. It's still getting DLC updates and stuff like that. So I'll probably wait a little bit longer until I get confirmation that they're done with it and they're moving on. Right, moving on. Dirt 5. Wow. I don't know what's going on over at Codemasters. I don't know if they're spread too thin. I know that they now handle the F1 series, and they have the WRC license now because they did the latest WRC game, and then obviously the Dirt IP. Dirt 5 just doesn't feel like Dirt. It's fallen prey to the same stuff like Need for Speed did. It's kind of lost its identity. It's trying to do everything and then not focus on one thing. Didn't mean to knock that. Like Dirt 3, I hold so close to my heart because it's just basically a rally game, as you would expect. The Gymkhana stuff that they added was really cool, little bonus things. Dirt 4's fine. Dirt 2 was cool as well as Dirt 1. Dirt 5 just doesn't feel like a dirt game. It's kind of weird. It just feels like it's lost a bit of magic, and I think a lot of people feel that way. It's a good-ish looking game, but it does a lot of like the over-the-top absurdity stuff, which I don't think people want that from a dirt game. Maybe have that as like a side piece thing, like an extra mode, as the Gymkhana stuff was, where it's like separated. But like, I think people just want to have just normal rally, and I guess that's why they're doing the WRC stuff now. And then they obviously did Dirt Rally, of course, which was like the breaking, and that probably could have been, or should have been, should I say, the indication that they were going to get a lot more silly and arcadey with the mainline Dirt series. But it does kind of disappoint me a bit. Same thing with Get Out of Hell. Bioshock Infinite is one that I finished on the newer gen edition release, whatever you want to call it. So this 361 is one that I didn't really get all that far in. But Bioshock Infinite is just an outstanding game. Absolutely outstanding. Such a fun moment-to-moment gameplay. Really, really damn cool. I remember, like, at launch, it was kind of very divisive between people. I don't know why. I'll be honest, I don't know why. I feel like it's a fine game. Maybe the themes that it touched on and stuff like that. And I know some of his storytelling style, Ken Levine, can be a little bit weird and wacky. So maybe people don't like that. But I don't know. I think Bioshock Infinite was a damn fun game. Brotato, kind of similar to like a Survivor's like, but it's wave based. And you just play as this little potato dude, and there's shitloads of characters, and has that kind of the stickiness of synergizing stuff like you do in Isaac. Isaac does it a little bit better, but there's cool, interesting stuff that you can get on with in the game, and that's another reason why it's been 100%ed. Look forward to whatever DLCs they end up putting out after the fact. Black Sad, spoke about this a fair amount in previous videos, and over on Brandon's channel I mentioned it many times now. If you're really, really yearning for The Wolf Among Us, just play Black Sad while you wait. It's not like a perfect substitute, but it does it well enough, and it's interesting enough. And definitely play the next gen version, because the Xbox One version, it did get patched eventually. I think there was still a few tiny shortcomings that's still in the game. But yeah, definitely play the next gen version because it's all running fine to my understanding. So I'll eventually replay through that. Really enjoyed it. Battle Brothers, turn-based tactical RPG. It's in the same vein of War Tales, where you're managing a group of mercenaries or a band of whatever. There's loads of different scenarios that you can do. Really brutal. Really brutal. Combat can be very difficult. I really do appreciate, though, that it's heavily, heavily, heavily Germanic. So, like, all of the names of many of the weapons or the mythology of creatures all pull from Germanic folklore and stuff like that. This is also from the same developer as Menace, which would have been further up the list towards the more recently played. They did a really good job. Battle Brothers, really fun. Bloons Tower Defense 6, tower defense game. I think a lot of people know what Bloons is. Was one of the original, what do you call it, when there was like shitloads of free PC games that you could just, the browser games and stuff like that, and you could just play it on, what was the website called? Congregate. I don't know if anybody played that on Congregate, had a Congregate account. Damn, that's opened up memories. Age of War was another one. That was a fun game. Also World War 1 or 2. Mud and Blood, I think, was another one. But yeah, Bloons. Everybody probably knows what Bloons is. Lots of fun. The plan was to 100% this, but it's so damn grindy. Like, I only have 10 achievements left. And I think there's a bunch of Odyssey ones, which is like a new game mode that they added. So you have to beat a few more maps in Chimps. Create or play 200 challenges. Yeah, 50 Odysseys. That's just, will come naturally, but that is just an absurdly high amount. These aren't too difficult. Again, just more grindiness. And then that's really damn difficult. struggled with all of my attempts of it thus far, but maybe I'll get it. Midnight Fight Express, kind of similar to Sifu, but a little bit. I think the camera's a little bit more pulled back. I didn't play too much of it, but enjoyed it enough that I will be going back to it at some point. The Long Dark, really disappointed in this because I don't know if it's actually catalogued the original playtime, because this was a Xbox preview game for a very, very long time and it didn't have achievements. Yeah, so it didn't keep track of the. I played this game so much around like the launch of Xbox One. It was one of the first things where Microsoft was trying to grab as many PC early access games as they could and bring them over to console in any way that they could. Try and support developers that way, trying to get DayZ over. Obviously, they brought over PUBG as well before PlayStation, and this was another one. And yeah, really cool survival game. One of the only survival games that I would genuinely sit down and play, if I'm being honest. Deadpool. Nolan North's take on Deadpool, he does a good enough job voice actor wise. I just think this is a dreadful game to play. I don't think it's a very fun game. I think a lot of people overlook this game's shortcomings, like gameplay wise, just because of the fact that it's Deadpool. Like, if it didn't have Deadpool as the character, no one would care about this game's existence. So yeah, didn't really have a particularly positive time with it. It was very dull, in my opinion. Lego Indiana Jones, haven't played all that much of it on Xbox. Played the hell out of it on PSP, I believe, which is where I mainly played it. Or it was either PSP or PS2. One of them two. I remember it was on one of the PlayStations. But yeah, really fun game. They really had something magical. Traveler's Tale, I believe, is the name of the developer. The early Lego formula just worked when they didn't have characters speaking, and it was kind of slapstick and motion based in the way that they were conveying the comedy and stuff like that. They were very creative in doing that, and then they've kind of gone for the more quippy stuff and then tried to really stretch the games out, because like, I respect what they did with the Skywalker saga. It's just way too big of a game, and I know it's kind of trying to squeeze together like, what, 9 films, I believe, but it's just too much for me to get like a good amount of enjoyment out of it. Hoping that they kind of show a little bit more restraint with that Batman game that they've got coming out, but time will tell. I think that's coming out next month. Yeah. The Binding of Isaac Repentance. Oh boy. Good old Isaac. Man, I really do love Isaac, but the tainted characters, man. I think they're just a little bit too much for me. I think it does detract from the enjoyment of the game, because I did initially 100% the previous version that they had in, was it Afterbirth Plus, I think is what was before Repentance. A lot of the tainted characters and the stuff that they added, just, yeah, I don't really care for it, to be honest. Fuga Melodies of Still. This is, how would you describe this? You're a bunch of animals, and it's mimicking like World War II, World War One-esque. It's basically mimicking a tale of like children soldiers as if they were piloting a tank, basically. But it's a massive like mech. Really cool. You have like a lot of emotional stories and stuff like that. It's a French developer, I believe. You can either play the game in French or English, I believe. And they did a really good job. Really good job. It's a trilogy of games, and I'll get through them all eventually, but I did really enjoy my time with it. Put like, how long did I put into it? 3 and a bit hours. I'll end up returning to it. The achievement said chapter 3, so a few chapters in. Buildings have feelings too. I don't know what this was. I tried it out and was like, okay, I get it. I don't really care for it. It's like a strategy management game, but it tries to like convey in a little bit of comedy, as you are just buildings moving around places, and then you slot them in, and then to make sure that this building runs effectively, it needs to be next to another building. And it was just like, cool. I don't care for this at all. So I did move on. It'll appeal to people though. I'm not saying it's a bad game. It just didn't grip me at all. Rematch. Is it Slow Clap? I believe the name is the developer. People behind Sifu. This is their take on like an online PvP football game. They did a really good job. I don't know how well the numbers are faring now. They made really simple missteps that really shouldn't have been made. Like, this game should have launched day one with crossplay, and it didn't. In this day and age, that's like cardinal sin. Like, it's already been established that that's the kind of shit you need to be delivering on. It also had very bad achievement and trophy tracking. Like, there was just a lot of little minor things that all added up. I don't know how well it's faring now, but it was a really fun game. Really fun game. Played it with Brandon and Pandagrog for a few matches, so it was cool to like dive into that and play that. Really fun. Oblivion Remastered, didn't play too much of it. Ended up dipping in much later after it had released. I think it was because it'll be the achievement. Whatever I got was the day that I played it. Yeah, so the 9th. The 3rd of the 9th. So several months after it came out. I don't really have like an attachment to Oblivion like a lot of people do. Played a decent chunk of it on the 360, but it never like really wowed me. And then it also didn't help that my save file corrupted. I was like halfway through the DLC, and then the save file just died. It's just like, okay, well, I'm not going to be doing all that again. Thank you very much. And then moved on. Assassin's Creed 1, this was actually a fairly recent one, and it was what's the word? A badge of shame that I had. Like, I'd done all the other Assassin's Creed games, but never played further than the opening hour of the first game because I just didn't enjoy the way that it played. I still don't, if I'm being honest. Don't really enjoy how Assassin's Creed 1 plays, but gotta give Ubisoft credit. Like, you pull yourself all the way back to the year of this game's release, and it's incredible what they accomplished. Really, really damn incredible. And they really did peak during like the early 360, like the mid of the 360 generation, and then they just kind of coasted after that. They kind of really fixated on making the game's environments and settings prettier and prettier and prettier, and they didn't really evolve much in the way of writing. Writing's kind of not been all that great with their games. The facial animations haven't been great in their games, and a lot of their design formula is identical and interchangeable between games. So, but yeah, they did a good job here. I don't know if they'll remaster Assassin's Creed 1 because they've kind of gone and remastered everything else, but they don't really indicate an interest in wanting to do Assassin's Creed 1 because I don't think it would hold up particularly well. You'd probably have to remake it, and they're probably thinking this isn't like an Assassin's Creed 2 where Ezio was our front poster boy, or Assassin's Creed 4 where people are like, yeah, we don't like the fact that it's an Assassin's Creed game, but it's a badass pirate game. Like, all these different games have some level of attachment, and not many people even remember the protagonist's name in Assassin's Creed 1, which is Altair. So yeah. So Cookie Clicker, I think I mentioned this last episode or the episode before. Just clicker games are my kryptonite. I will never defend them as being great, but they just scratch the itch for me, and that is what Cookie Clicker is. It has a kind of a little bit more of a deeper system than I was anticipating, because it was something that I never engaged with. I know it's like been big for a few years, many years even, but it was only available on PC, to my knowledge. And then yeah, it's cool for what it is. Has a lot of charm, and yeah, but at the end of the day, it's just a clicker game. So I thought I played this much more recently, but no. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. This is the MGS3 remake, where they did it in Unreal. Virtuous did this. They've done a really good job. Really underrated studio. Virtuous as a level of quality. It's going to be interesting to see what they're doing next. I probably have heard of what they're doing next, but I can't pull that out of like the memory bank. But always going to be keeping an eye on them, because they seem to deliver a bar of quality that, you know, I wouldn't have expected from them, but they've proven it time and time again now. So really damn fun. I spoke about it earlier, but yeah, very much enjoy this remake. Love it. Triangle Strategy. How long did I play this for? Because only getting one achievement. It feels like I played the game a lot longer than, 9 hours almost. So this is from the Octopath team, I believe. Shares a lot of the artistic design that Octopath does, but it's very much Final Fantasy Tactics in its design of how the game plays, but really, really damn fun. I do want to get back to it. Has a cool system where, because the only achievement was persuading an ally, which is basically like a ruler, but you need to get all of your companions that you have on board to agree with you, and then you're making like decisions based on that. Really cool, really interesting. Ready or Not. This is the SWAT spiritual successor / Rainbow Six Vegas 2 spiritual successor. They did a really good job with this. First person tactical shooter, very intense, very what do you call it? Very brutal. Like, you can just round a corner and then you get hit with it, and then it's straight back to the drawing board. There's no checkpoints. You have to do the entire mission again. It's kind of like roguelike-esque in that way or Souls-like even as well, where because it throws you straight back to the beginning, it shifts up the enemy placement, but obviously the layout of the building is identical. So you start to get more and more familiarized with the environments and the traps and stuff like that, because they will also change where the trap placements are, like tripwires on doors and stuff like that. And yeah, really, really fun. It had a DLC that dropped recently. I do want to go back and dive into them. He is coming. What is He Is Coming? I don't remember. But this would have been played on PC. What the hell is He Is Coming? I think this was like a dungeon crawler. Yeah, we'll move on. I don't know what that was. Can't remember. Shadows of the Damned, Hella Remastered. This is the Shinji Mikami. Suda, I believe, was part of it, and The sound, the music composer was the guy from Silent Hill. Can't remember his name. Basically, they just remade Resident Evil 4 and just turned up the absurdity to the max. As you travel through hell, basically trying to rescue your wife from a demon. Really fun, really fun. It's kind of stood the test of time a little bit better than I would have probably expected, but I really enjoyed it. I had a very creative environment. It kind of reminds me almost of like Dante's Inferno, where if you played this back in the day, you would have had a lot of like love for it, and then you're looking around your shoulder being like, why is no one playing this? And why is no one talking about this? Kind of like that. Breakout Recharged. This is one of the many Atari games, I believe, that they did remakes of. I can't remember what because it's like a one-sided Pong. Because you're not playing against somebody, it's just like the brick destroying game. Really enjoyed it. Very simple. And you can just chip away. I know like Atari did a bunch of these like recharged games. Like Centipede was another one. Yeah, they've done them for basically all of their classic IPs. It's really cool. Sword and Fairy Together Forever. This is a Chinese role-playing game. Let's see if we can get some. It's like a third-person, kind of like what would you say, like Dragon Age or Dragon Age Inquisition? Sorry, that kind of like level of little hubs that you're going through, little areas and stuff like that. Really fun. Really, really enjoyable. I've kind of taken a shining to the Chinese-based games as of late, because there's a Zhuan Yun as well that I want to get through. I did the Gate of Fervament, I believe it was called. Did like we'll probably find it somewhere further down the list. Played a little bit of it, but yeah, do want to play a little bit more of that. A lot of fun. I like the mythology of it all. It's really good. Don't really need to mention what these three games are. Obviously, very iconic, classic titles. Did them all back to back. I don't really like GTA 3. GTA Vice City's cool in aspects, and then GTA San Andreas is the GOAT for me of the three, probably. Maybe Vice City in terms of like artistic design, I prefer it, but the actual structure of San Andreas is just much better. They thankfully did polish up and fix the definitive edition. I remember this releasing in a woefully poor state. I remember Rockstar basically ripped it off the developers and was like, okay, well, you botched that. We're going to go and like finish this up for you because you can't be trusted. And now it's in like a much more playable state. So it's good to see. But it's always the unfortunate thing when you see like remasters, definitive editions, re-releases, remakes, and stuff like that, where they rip off the storefronts, the original versions, so that they can slap the definitive edition on the name and then be like, this is the best way to play the game, and then 9 times out of 10 it isn't. I really don't like that practice. Yakuza did it recently with their re-releases of 0, Kiwami 1 and Kiwami 2. Yeah, it's just a really shitty tactic. I know Metal Gear did it as well, I believe. But yeah, it's just I don't like that at all. Mandragora, Whispers of the Witch Tree. This is a Souls-like mixed with a Metroidvania 2D side-scroller. Very Salt and Sanctuary-esque in its inspiration. Really fun. I want to get back to finishing it at some point. I don't know how long I put into it. About 12 hours. Sounds about right. Very fun. Metal Slug Attack Reloaded. This is... Oh, how would you describe this? Like Age of War, the game that I was talking about with the PC, where you're building up a constant resource and then you're redeeming it to deploy units, and it's 2D in that side scrolling, and you're just basically attacking someone's base, kind of tower defense-esque, but it's not. You're not placing towers down. It's basically that, but it combines essentially all of the Metal Slug games together, grabbing all of their factions and stuff like that, and you just go through a campaign. I believe there's a multiplayer mode, but it was basically dead on arrival. But yeah, played a ton of it. Like, it just scratches all of the right itches. And it's obviously I'll just let this play while I'm talking about it. It's the same art style as the games, but you're not controlling the characters. But really, really fun. Really, there you go, as they're deploying them, and then you're just going through boss fights and stuff. It's really, really cool. I would heavily recommend it if it sounds interesting. Death Stranding Director's Cut. Kojima's latest IP that he's very much in love with. I think he is very impressed himself with the way he's written the game. Definitely isn't for everybody. I know a lot of people don't like the gameplay or quote unquote lack thereof in the game. I bounced off it a few times. It's the type of thing where you can't rush through it. You need to take your time, and you just need to soak in the environments and the story that it's telling and unfolding in front of you. You just need to respect that. And then you are rewarded. And a lot of people say that it's like, oh, you have to wait 10 hours or whatever for it to get good. That's not really all that true. It's a little bit blown out of proportion. It's got like a very, very slow opening hour, and then things just get better and better and better as it starts, as most games back in the day did, unveiling more and more mechanics and stuff like that. I think that's kind of a byproduct of, how would you say it? Like, newer generations, they want instant gratification and enjoyment and don't want to wait for things to unfold. It feels like you don't want to wait for 3 hours to earn something. You just want like that immediate, like, have all your tools in your arsenal given to you in the opening couple of hours, and then you can choose what you want to use. I don't actually like that personally. It's why I've been gelling with Crimson Desert so much, because like 15 hours in, and the game introduces something brand new, and another 15 hours, and the game introduces more. And it's just a breath of fresh air. Takes me back to like the original Dark Souls. Like, when you think you've figured everything out, and then something else happens, and it's just like, oh, cool. Or you find a different way of approaching something, so you've gotten into the habit of tackling something in one specific way, and then you go around experimenting, and you're like, oh, that actually works, cool. Like that, I like that. It's fun. Knock on the Coffin Lid. This is a card game where you're going through different paths like Slay the Spire does as you're moving through the different acts. And it's kind of very RPG-esque. You're going through and you're unfolding all these different stories, but it's told in the way of like a time loop. So that's where the replayability comes from, is that you're trying to crack this time loop and figure out how to get out of it. Really, really fun and interesting game. Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. If you've never seen the development of this game, go look up like videos on it and information, because it is one of the most turbulent developments of like any game ever. Like, I believe it had they gave like a massive loan from the state of Rhode Island, I believe, to get this game off the ground. It was originally like an MMO, and then they switched it to being a single player game. R.A. Salvatore who writes shitloads of what do you call it? Dungeons and Dragons books, wrote an absurd amount of lore for this game, and it didn't really. I mean, nothing really became of it. I think they were really banking on this being the next like Lord of the Rings, which is always the big like. You can't go in with that mindset. Like the Witcher 3 has arguably climbed into the realm of speaking it like as if it's on in the same ballpark as Lord of the Rings. It still hasn't reached that. Like I want that to be 100% clear. Like the Lord of the Rings is a global phenomenon. You know, books and the films are like equal. Whereas with The Witcher, like you have a niche amount of people who have read the books, and then you have the people who play the games, and then you have the TV show that came out, and it's kind of like a fractured, divided fan base. Whereas it feels like, yeah, you had like people who weren't happy with some of the changes that they made, but there's a lot more of a respect between the Lord of the Rings fans than there is The Witcher, and you just can't go in with the thought process that you're going to be the next Lord of the Rings because it's like, oh, I'm going to be the next Call of Duty killer. I'm going to be this. You just have to let it go in that direction organically. Just make your game what you want to make it. Make sure you're passionate about it, and then the fans will fight on that front for you. And unfortunately, it tried to do probably a little bit too much. It's not a bad game at all, but hopefully this gets like a second chance because it does deserve it. I believe Embracer has their hands on this, so who knows? Excuse me. Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, there we go. We will leave it there. That's an hour. I think these are roughly going for about an hour each. So we will pick this up at MechWarrior 5 Clans next time. But thank you very much for watching. If you want to join a Discord of like-minded gamers such as yourself, make sure to drop a comment down below, and I'll hit you back with a link. And if you somehow stumbled upon here before Brandon's channel, make sure to check out the description down below, where his channel will be linked. He does amazing solo content, and we do a decent amount of collaborative stuff. We're actually going to be bringing back the podcast. I think this will probably be going up before the podcast goes live, but the aim is to do a monthly podcast on my channel. I know he's like really heavily working at doing stuff on his channel, so I don't want to disrupt that workflow. And he seems to have a very consistent schedule, and the views have kind of settled. We shook it up a lot last year, aggressively, so I didn't want to reach out and be like, yeah, let's go do that again. So we'll be keeping it over here, where it won't do damage to anything. So if you miss the long chats that we frequently did, that will be coming back in a monthly format, hopefully. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you in the next one.